Hi everyone, and welcome to the new people, but also welcome back to all of you. I'm so excited about this growing community, and today I want to talk to you about something. Like, are you like me, where you're almost addicted to those TV shows, you know, the ones where they do the fixer-uppers and they show something, you know, basically from drab to fab? Well, I certainly love them. I still even watch them now. And so what we did was we decided to buy a fixer-upper. Remember I told you about downsizing before and getting into smaller homes? Well, that's what we did. Now, it's one thing to watch the show, but it's a whole different ball game when you nervously realize what you bought and you start to move in. So today I've got a real special, I'm really excited about showing this to you because I'm going to show you the befores and the afters of our little fixer-upper. But wow, did we ever have a lot of surprises, but we also had a few breakthroughs as well. And I thought to myself, you know, I want to share 10 really important points that we found along our downsizing fixer-upper journey, and I really wanted to share them with you because they are so important. And don't forget, after the 10 points at the end of this video, I'm going to show you something that maybe you haven't seen before. We looked at our cluttered garage and we went, you know, we got to do something with this. So we made about 3/4 of it into a rustic cabin. So stay for that. It's really interesting. But let's get on to point number 1. When you're looking at homes, don't write off a home, especially if it's smaller, because of the existing layout. Now, where I'm sitting right now, I just got to tell you, this is our favorite room of the house. Absolute favorite. We made it into a family room. But it was also the one room where we said we can't move into this home because of this room. So what am I talking about? Well, let me just show you right now what I mean. All right, so the layout of this home had the bedroom in the back of the house. It was all pink, but you know, we can fix that up. But this was supposed to be our bedroom, and we went, you know what? This house is too small. We can't move into it. But look what we did. We converted this oversized bedroom into our family room. It's our favorite part of the house. We still had 2 smaller bedrooms in the front of the house. And you know what? We don't need a huge room for our bedroom. Now, I'm not too sure if I mentioned this to you, but we did this fixer-upper, renovations, whatever you want to call it, really on a budget. It was an affordable budget. And we also did a lot of DIY projects as well, but the point number 2 is you gotta know when you have to hire that contractor. And basically, you know, you can see jobs like this needs to be, I don't know, I want to do a walkout to a deck and I want to have a glass railing. Well, hey, guess what? If you think that you're a weekend project manager, like that just doesn't work. And you know, you have to know when it's time to really hire a contractor. Tip number 3 is the power of paint. And as you can see with that pink room, we were going to keep it pink. We painted just so many things. We painted kitchen cupboards from a dark color to basically an off-white. And another place that we painted, you know, all that ugly paneling from the 70s? Well, let me show you what we did with that. Nobody wants a dark basement, but if you go to the paint shop, you can get paneling paint. Tip number 4 is to fix those kind of things that are going to keep you up at night. Like, I really like my privacy, and I'll show you the picture in a minute, but down one side of our home in the backyard, like the fence was like, well, there but not there. Like, there was no privacy. Our little dog could run away. Any, you know, guest dogs or kids' dogs could run away. And so those are the kind of things that you have to prioritize. And let me show you the fence and what I mean. Now you can't really see it, but this fence has a lot of holes in it, and it's just not private. Here's the new fence we put up, and the yard looks a little not great, but I'll get to that later. So tip number 5, I'm just going to talk about this one because you gotta expect that the budget is going to have to go up, and there's always surprises, right? And what happened with us, we bought this home from a woman who was 97 years old. I mean, her husband actually built this home. Her heart was into the home. She hired as a realtor her, I think it was her niece that was the real estate agent. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to divulge if there's any big problems with the house. And they never said that there was knob and tube wiring, which is a biggie, right? And a big cost to repair as well. But what was I going to do? They found the knob and tube. We were putting a range hood into the house, you know, because there wasn't a range hood over the stove. We kind of needed it. And the electrician says, you know, there's knob and tube in here. And that's just so, like, that was, I think, in the 1920s or something. It's really dangerous these days with all what we plug in. And he said, you know, go ahead and sue the owner. Well, I'm not going to do that. At 97, I don't want to take a lady to court. So basically, we had to sort of eat that cost and put in all new copper wiring. But, you know, we got it done. We increased the budget, and that's all there was to it. We also had to cut back a few things, but it's so important. That's a safety issue, right? All right, let's go on to the next tip. Let's leave that behind me a little bit, and let's go on to the next tip. And the next tip is all about curb appeal to your home. And I really do think that if you drive up to your home and the outside of it is just a mess, and you know there's shingles coming off and it just looks horrible, it just doesn't make it a home that you love. So let's take a look at what I mean. All right, it kind of looked like the worst house on the street, but da-da-da-da. Now people actually stop and give us compliments, so we really are happy with the look. That concrete porch needed a special kind of paint. We did that. But I wanted to show you the front of the home. This is our cozy little living room at the front, and as you know, we've got the family room in the back. Here's the kitchen. We painted the cupboards all white. There's some more cupboards on the other side as well. It looks really good, but I got a big question for you. I'd love to know in the comments. We are separating the living room from the kitchen. Should we remove the wall? Now, tip number 7 kind of has to do with what I was talking about with the budget. Don't try to tackle everything. Don't try to have the perfect home by the time you're finished with your fixer-upper, because some things can be left, and actually some things that are left, like yard work or creating gardens, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's nice to just let it settle a little bit, and then you can really design your landscaping and maybe take it over the next few years. Maybe you want perennials, maybe you want annuals, maybe you want, you know, containers of flowers, whatever it is. We can let that one slide a little bit. So tip number 8, do the maintenance projects. So important. So if you're in the house and they're working on the deck or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get this big rainstorm and you're noticing that the gutters are leaking and you know the water isn't kind of drifting away from your house properly, that's a maintenance thing. That's not something that you can just say, oh, well, you know, I want to put some lights on my deck. That's much more important. No, it's not as important. Maintenance is so important. And you know what happened to us? We have a detached garage. And we never really went over to the neighbor's yard and looked at this garage. From our side, it looked just fine, the shingles and everything. But one day, the lady next door, she says, have you ever noticed your garage roof? And we're like, yeah, it looks great. She said, no, come on over to my side of the yard. Oh my gosh, there were like hardly any shingles there. And you know, I started thinking to myself, how come the side you can see is perfect and the side that you can't see is horrible? And I actually thought to myself that maybe those roofers that were with that 97-year-old woman never ever did, because she was in a wheelchair, never actually did that side of the roof. That's my only thought about this, because all of a sudden we're looking at this roof and we're going, this is not good. It became a maintenance item and it had to be dealt with right away. And my next tip is, especially, if you're older and you have grown kids or you're downsizing, make sure you have room for family. We have 4 kids, and actually one just left yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. And she just left yesterday, and we had this storage room down in the basement, and we made it into like a bedroom. Now it has a pull-out couch, so I'll just show that in just a second. It has a pull-out couch, and it's really kind of cozy and wonderful for any of our kids that want to stay over, and that goes for friends as well. Now, the other thing is our front living room. It's a little bit more on the small side, and so we don't have, remember I told you we changed the big bedroom into a family room? Well, we changed what would have probably been the dining room into our bedroom. And so we needed to buy a table. There's a lot of these tables out there that fold out, and they make a great dining room table. So, it's sitting up against the window during the day, and then whenever we need it, we can just fold it out into a big table. So there's a lot of stores that have convertible furniture for things like this, where you can still stick to the smaller home. Now take a look at this room. This is basically just a storage room in the basement. But talking about convertible furniture, we bought a convertible sofa, put it in this room in the basement, and we've got a lovely bedroom for any of our 4 kids that happen to drop by. Now, I'm not at the end of the video yet, but I'm so excited. This idea we just came up with, and there was a big window in the bedroom that, as you know, we changed it out for a sliding glass door. And then the contractor said, well, what do you want me to do with this big window? And I said, put it in the garage. Where did that come from? Well, let me tell you where that came from. I have been watching these television shows, and have you heard of a she shed? Right? Have you heard about those? Where they make part of a garage, or they make a shed into, a nice little gardening area, or a little place where, you can sit and have a cup of tea or something along those lines. And so you put the window in. And then we thought, well, why don't we make this like a rustic cabin with a lot of retro? We have a lot of retro things like old comic books and old, lots of games and things like that, and a dartboard. So anyway, let me just show you what we did here. And don't forget, this isn't the end of the video. I've got a little bit more. Let's take a look. So this is the garage that we started with. Look familiar? I mean, it's most people's garage, but we decided, let's make something out of this. And so we did. We made like a rustic cabin, and we put a lot of retro things in there, like old comic books, and we've got a very comfy sofa. We have a dartboard, we have heat, we even have air conditioning in here. There's a little air conditioning unit as well. We've got a beautiful view to the backyard. And what do you do at a cabin? You play games. We've got lots of games here, and it's a perfect little getaway that's right on our own property. And I love how this community, how it's growing. And don't forget to put in the comments, if something resonated with you, or even share a little story about maybe some of the things you went through and some of the surprises and some of the breakthroughs that maybe you found. But as far as subscribing, I would love to grow this community even more. And there's a button down there somewhere to subscribe. Don't forget to click on the notification bell. But at this point, I usually have a quote, and I did find a quote, and it says, "A house is a home when it shelters the body and comforts the soul." And that's by Philip Moffat. And I think that's so true, right? It's one thing to have a house. I got a house, I live in a house, but I mean, this home here, this is our forever home. We just feel so comforted by it. It's cozy. You know, we've done the touches to it that we love without ruining the integrity of what that man built back in 1935. And, you know, and I just hope that you can find your forever home as well. And talking about a forever home, I hope that, again, you're enjoying this community. You can join us again next week. I do these videos every single week, and it's all about, you know, no matter what age you are, we're all on an aging journey. And what I try to do with these videos is help you to feel a little bit more inspired and a little bit more empowered. See you next week.